Today on Budweiser Racing Across America, East meets West in the $500,000 Oaklawn Handicap, featuring America's top 3 ranked thoroughbreds and the first 2 winners in the 1992 American Championship Racing Series. From the East comes Sea Cadet, winner of Florida's Dawn Handicap and ranked number 2 in the National Thoroughbred Poll. From the West, it's the $1 million Santa Anita Handicap winner, Best Pal. This California bred has won more than $3 million and is the top-ranked runner in the land. Also from the West Coast comes Twilight Agenda, second in the big cap, number 3 in the national poll. The battle for number 1 will be decided today at this historic racetrack in Hot Springs National Park in Arkansas. The 46th running of the Oaklawn Handicap is next. ESPN presents Budweiser Racing Across America. Brought to you by Budweiser. Nothing beats the excitement of horse racing, and nothing beats a Bud. By the Breeders' Cup, racing's $10 million championship. By Wagner, makers of quality power painters, power rollers, power washers. And by the Daily Racing Form, we give you the winners. The Oaklawn Handicap from Hot Springs National Park in Arkansas is next on ESPN. Welcome to America's only racetrack in a national park, to Oaklawn in Hot Springs, Arkansas, and to the start of what is recognized as the single most important week of thoroughbred racing in the nation, to Oaklawn's Racing Festival of the South. And hello again, everyone. I'm Chris Lincoln, along with Tom Durkin and Frank Wright. Pleased to join you and welcome you to one of the prettiest settings for thoroughbred racing anywhere in the country. It is the start of the Racing Festival of the South, and a big show for us this afternoon. We're going to feature the $500,000 Oaklawn Handicap. Then, for the first time, you will see gate-to-wire coverage of Arazi's victory in his debut in France, this year's Kentucky Derby favorite. And speaking of the Kentucky Derby, we'll have results of 2 major prep races for the Derby. It'll be the Bluegrass Stakes at Keeneland and Lexington, and also the Tropical Park Derby down at Calder in Florida. Our focus, of course, is the Oaklawn Handicap. It's part of the American Championship Racing Series, and it seems this race has always served as the first big meeting point of the year for the older handicap horses. The best of the East, the best of the West meet here in Oaklawn and the Ozarks to decide who can be the best. Let's take a look at our conditions of racing right now for the Oaklawn Handicap. It is a $500,000 guaranteed, 1 1/8 thoroughbreds 4 and up, and it is going to be $300,000 to the winner. The weather, well, they say the sun always shines at Oaklawn, but this is ridiculous. It is not spring, it is summer already in the Ozarks. Temperatures in the 80s, beautiful light breeze. The track listed as fast. Looks like a good racetrack for those who like to make some closing moves on this racetrack. Well, we mentioned this is part of the American Championship Racing Series, a series designed to spotlight the older handicap horses. This is the 3rd stop in the series. Let's give you an update now on the point standings through the first 2 races. And you see the first 3 are here today. Best Pal, Sea Cadet, Twilight Agenda. The points are important because the top 4 point earners at the end of the series will divide up $1.5 million in bonus money. The series includes 9 events worth $7.7 million across the country. Right now, let's meet our field for this 3rd event, the Oaklawn Handicap. And to do that, let's join Tom Durkin and Frank Wright.
Frank, you've been an owner and a trainer for many years, and you must be able to relate to having a horse in a race like this with so much prestige.
Well, you win today, and you're the pro tem champ of the older horse division. This continuing battle for the title is measured in ACRS points earned in this series. But money makes the horse run. and $500,000 is a lot of hay.
It's a great race to be part of if you're an owner, and it's a great race to be part of if you're a horse player. This race is great to bet with top-class trainers, jockeys, and horses overloaded with quality, class, and consistency, everything a horse player looks for, including a few playable long shots. If horse racing is your game and you don't have a strong opinion about this race by post time, maybe you better consider taking up something like bridge. Let's meet the players in the morning line odds for this Oaklawn Handicap. Number 1 is Fly So Free with Jose Santos, a champion as a 2-year-old, making his second start at age 4. Gerard, a long shot out of Louisiana. Sea Cadet and Alex Solis. Sea Cadet, the best older horse in Florida this winter by a lot. Total assets with veteran Larry Snyder, a local long shot. Crafty Cash, another long shot. And number 6 is Best Pal, the top-ranked thoroughbred in North America, who was nothing less than brilliant in winning the Santa Anita Handicap. And completing the field is number 7, Twilight Agenda, one of 4 millionaires in this race. And Frank, what a lot of money they've won. The average earnings for each horse in this race, $1.2 million. But a lot of these high earners carry high weight.
Well, this is a handicap. Weights assigned by Racing Secretary Larry Kraft. His judgment of a fair chance for every horse. Last out, equally weighted, Best Pal beat Twilight Agenda by 5.5 lengths. Today, 2-pound shift. Many people think not enough. Fly So Free, in his last race, a tune-up, the Razorback, he was defeated. But he dropped 3 pounds, and the 118-pound assignment today, I think, is very generous. But we'll see. Different weights, different opinions make horse racing.
They'll have to carry that weight over 9 furlongs over the Oaklawn Mile Oval. Let's take a look at the course. There's a pretty good run into the first turn, which is fairly sharp. It favors a horse that's a little handy like Sea Cadet. Then the horses will literally run up the backstretch. There's a 9-foot uphill rise from the beginning of the backstretch to the far turn. They negotiate that far turn, and then, as Dave Johnson might say, down the stretch they come. A 5-foot downhill grade from the 3/16 pole down to the wire. And speaking of going downhill, let's go to Chris.
Thank you, Mr. Durkin. They see some folks who are hoping to go uphill with their betting here today at Oaklawn. Over 36,000 here. The sun is shining. Mr. Sello's with us here. Charles J. Sello, the president of Oaklawn, 4th generation of the Sello family to run this beautiful spa track. And the sun is definitely shining.
Chris, it's a beautiful day. It's August and April.
Oh, it absolutely is. Mr. Sello, one of the really great things this racetrack has done is a racing festival of the South in its 19th season, and this was the originator.
We started in 1973. We go for a week. This week, we'll distribute over $3 million in purses. We'll have about 2.5 million people come through our turnstiles, and it's a great week. Most people say it's the fastest week in racing, and we're proud of it.
We'll show people some of the schedule now of what's coming up, including tomorrow's race with the Fantasy. And Mr. Sello, this track has really been quite a success story.
Well, we're proud of it, but you know what really makes it? Our people, our staff, all the way down even to the sweep-up crew. They have a certain amount of pride that goes with being in Arkansas. And, by the way, also, Oaklawn Park is one of the originating members of the Thoroughbred Racing Association. I know you're very proud of that. We are. We promote racing. It's good to have racing on television, and we have a heck of a race today that'll be the 3rd leg of the series. We're looking forward to it. We'll get right to it as we continue with our coverage of the Oaklawn Handicap from beautiful Oaklawn Park in Hot Springs, Arkansas. Stay with us. We're back at Oaklawn, the site of the handicap this afternoon. Before we start talking about the older horses, we also are fully aware we're 3 weeks away from the Kentucky Derby as Budweiser Racing across America welcomes you back to our continuing coverage here of the top thoroughbred racing events around America and even overseas. And that is where the focus was early this week, as on Tuesday, Arazi, America and Europe's 2-year-old champion, the winner book favorite for the Kentucky Derby, made his return. You're about to see the first gate-to-wire coverage of Arazi's effort. And starting that off will be a report from our Budweiser Thoroughbred Digest show producer, Dave Bruner. He was in France and had a follow-up report for us on Arazi, the horse everyone's talking about.
Paris's Saint-Cloud racecourse was the site of Arazi's authoritative 1992 debut. But his home lies 20 miles north of Paris, just outside of Chantilly, where he resides in the yard of top French trainer Francois Boutin. Arazi was immediately returned here to Chantilly following his victory on Tuesday, and he'll continue to train here right up until the time he leaves for the Kentucky Derby. Now, according to trainer Boutin, despite the convincing win, the real Arazi has yet to be seen.
Bah, écoutez, hier, moi, je pense qu'il était à peu près à 60-70% de sa forme.
On Tuesday, Arazi was more or less at 60 to 70% of his normal form. We had to work very strongly and very quickly with him. We had only 2 months to prepare for Tuesday's race, and now in 1 month, it will be the Kentucky Derby. For me, this race on Tuesday went very well, and I think for the Derby, he will be 100%.
He speaks like a man who has plenty of experience with horses, which Bhutan definitely does. He trains nearly 200 thoroughbreds and employs over 100 stable lads who ride and care for them. But he confesses he's never competed in anything like the Kentucky Derby.
No, it's the first time I've had such a horse. And for that race, you have to have the horse as well as a good owner. You need an owner who's willing to participate in such a race and is willing to bear the expense of moving from one place to the other. But you must first have the quality horse. So it's the first time I've been able to marry the two things, an owner who wants very much to run in that race and the horse that has the capability.
The owner Bhutan speaks of is actually a partnership between Sheikh Mohammed Al Maktoum of Dubai and America's Alan Paulson. Each, no doubt, has his own dream of what Arazi might accomplish, and Paulson has made no secret of his.
So he's got a big future one way or the other, but I think he can go on and win the Triple Crown and maybe the Arc and a classic Breeders' Cup this year. So, but you can dream on, right?
And we're with Randy Moss of the Dallas Morning News, who was in Paris on Tuesday to see Arazi run. Two questions before we see the race from wire to wire. First of all, what was the competition like, and what were the conditions like?
Well, the conditions, officially it was soft. A lot of rain in France. The French were calling it collant, or very sticky, so we know the going wasn't real well. Competition-wise, there were no best pals in there, but I think they were better horses than we've been led to believe over here. A horse called River Majesty was Group 3 placed. Valeris was highly regarded, and so was the runner-up Supermec.
All right, well, Arazi was wearing number 1. He's breaking from post position number 6. Steve Cawthon, the jockey in Europe for Arazi. He'll be wearing the brown and white silks in Europe of Sheikh Mohammed, and he gets off to a bit of a tardy start here. Typically, Randy, the horses run slowly in the early going of races in Paris. Not the case here.
Not the case here. Paulson entered a couple of horses that in Europe they call pacemakers. We would call them rabbits. Those two were the ones on the lead you see right there, Akiko and Carson Bay. The objective there was twofold. Number one was to make sure that the pace was quick enough to give Arazi a good, solid conditioning prep for the Kentucky Derby. Also, they wanted to simulate an American race as closely as possible.
He's running in mid-pack. Steve Cawthon's got a pretty good hold of an eager horse.
Right, and you know, this is, we watched some of the French races and English races that Arazi had last year on videotape over there, and this is the farthest back that he's ever been in a race in Europe.
Not so in America, though.
Absolutely not, especially the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. And, of course, this is a good, solid American-style prep.
And he's running well off the rail, as most of the horses are. Apparently, the better going a little bit off the rail. And he's running very smoothly. Cawthon just not asking this great American champion 2-year-old for anything at all. A left-handed course at St. Cloud, which is, of course, also is similar to American conditions. They're about to approach the top of the stretch, and nothing has been asked yet.
Not yet. And Bhutan, Francois Bhutan, the trainer, the very next day mentioned that he thought Arazi was a little rusty at the moment of acceleration. Let's see what you think.
Well, we're going to see that acceleration. Now they come into the straight at St. Cloud. He has a clear run. Again, Cawthon has not asked for anything, but now he's going to do it. And Bhutan was not satisfied with this devastating turn of speed.
I'll tell you what, it's a little different from the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, of course, in which he came from last to first with a sustained run, but this 3/16 of a mile run, look at that. I mean, that's about as impressive as you're going to see in France.
He will never touch Arazi with the whip. A horse called Supermec will be second, River Majesty third, but it really makes not too much difference. He cruises under the line as much the best. He won by about 5 lengths, could have won by much more. I'm going to ask you a question about Arazi to make a comparison. You saw him last year as a 2-year-old and this year as a 3-year-old. Physically, is he any different?
Well, I don't think he was. I never have thought that he was a lot to look at. He might have filled out just a little bit from 2 to 3, but he still is a pretty ordinary looking horse.
And one other comparison. You were one of the few people that was in California last Saturday to see the Santa Anita Derby, AP Indy, the winner there, and then Tuesday you saw Arazi. Compare those two horses.
Well, maybe this is jet lag talking here, but I think the two horses are about as far apart as Paris and Los Angeles. I'm very impressed with Arazi. I don't speak French, but I think he was c'est magnifique.
Well, that's about 7,000 miles from California to Paris. I think that's enough to win a race of 1.25 miles. Let's go back to Chris.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Randy. And I hope you enjoyed that update on the Kentucky Derby favorite, Arazi. Meanwhile, the trainers, owners have gathered in the paddock. There's D. Wayne Lucas. They're awaiting the thoroughbreds, the Oaklawn Handicap. There's Hall of Fame candidate Scotty Schulhofer. ESPN welcomes you back to Oaklawn Park in Hot Springs, Arkansas. We're about 20 minutes away from the 8th race, the Oaklawn Handicap.
And looking ahead, we'll make our premiere of Sunday night Major League Baseball back on ESPN tomorrow night, 8 o'clock. Exclusive national coverage. The Rangers take on Kirby Puckett and the world champion Twins in Minnesota. Well, we told you the trainers were waiting. Frank Wright is there as well as the horses are approaching the circle here to get saddled. Frank?
Well, Chris, our favorite today is Best Pal, and he's a fine thoroughbred from tip to toe. But at this very moment, the tip is better than the toe. Best Pal has been lengths ahead of his California opposition, but his problem has been keeping 2 feet from serious trouble. A quarter crack appeared in his left hind foot just days before the Santa Anita Handicap. It was successfully patched, and Best Pal won laughing. Such patches are routinely applied in today's racing world. The acrylic patch repairs a split in the hoof. Pain is eliminated, infection checked, and a horse may compete on the same day. Best Pal flew here to Oaklawn with his patch in place, but not for long.
The first thing he did the first day when he got here was to grab the patch on his left hind, which we just put on before he left California to put another one on there. He grabbed it coming off the track. First day was here and ripped it off. So that was enough to make my face get a little bit redder.
A local blacksmith fixed the patch, but Gary's face was to get even redder on Wednesday.
He galloped yesterday and he popped a gravel, a little stone out the inside quarter of his right front foot on the inside there.
Especially in wet weather, a small stone can get between shoe and foot. This gravel under pressure works up through the hoof and exits at the coronet band. Gary and his staff have so far been satisfied with the treatment. They have kept the exit point soft, infection-free, and protected by bandage. But there is still concern about what might happen under racing pressure.
When those things come out, what they do is they work their way up the wall of the foot from the inside, and they'll slice as they go, and then they'll pop out at the top. And what you do is you have a weakened spot on that hoof. And if he should run along and pop that thing open, it's going to hurt him in the race. And it's something where right now there's nothing to fix on him. We just have to hope that it doesn't crack during the race and run him and see.
All is well to this point, but Best Pal is saying, feet, don't fail me now.
And there is an intense Gary Jones there in the gray sports coat next to him in the red jacket. John Mabey, the owner of Best Pal, and he is a little bit intense. In fact, Gary would take no phone calls this morning. He decided after agreeing yesterday not to put on a microphone with us today. Gary Jones is intense, believe me. You know, one of the great features of the American Championship Series is to spotlight the older horses, to show there's more than, well, just like a race of the Kentucky Derby. But we actually had to go back to last year's Kentucky Derby to talk about 3 of our race favorites here this afternoon. In last year's Kentucky Derby, Best Pal finished second, beaten less than 2 lengths for the Roses. Fly So Free, the 2-year-old champion of 1990, finished 5th as the morning line favorite. And Sea Cadet was 8th in the field of 16. Now, a year later, Best Pal is the nation's top-ranked thoroughbred of his California sweep of the San Fernando, the Stroop Stakes, and the Santa Anita Handicap.
I think the horse has just made a natural development. I don't think it's anything I did. Good horses like this, anybody can train him. It's just, he's just a very, very good horse, and all you can do is just try to help him along a little bit, that's all. You know, he's just a real top horse.
But along with his concern about Best Pal's foot problem, trainer Gary Jones, as he watched his Calbred gelding gallop over the Oaklawn track, also knows that Best Pal has never won outside his home state. Sea Cadet, the tailless wonder, has earned over $1.2 million. And his Hall of Fame trainer, Ron McAnally, says he's grown up.
Well, he's matured a lot more. He's more professional than he was he was immature, you know, as a 3-year-old. And he's slowly but surely turned into a professional horse. He's just about what he is going to be now. And of course, he didn't really get that way until the Gulfstream Handicap, and then he started to really come around after that. And then the Don Handicap, and he won both of those races very impressively.
Looking to regain his championship form is Fly So Free, who hasn't been to the winner's circle since last July. He disappointed as the 3-5 favorite in his 4-year-old debut here in the Razorback, as he ran 4th, beaten just over 5 lengths. Trainer Scotty Schulhofer knows that Fly So Free will be sharper today.
Well, he worked a good 3/4 of a mile and came back yesterday and blew out a half a mile in 46 flat. It's a little faster than I really wanted it, but he did it good and easy, and he's at the top of his game right now, I think.
The pressure, though, is squarely on Best Pals trainer Gary Jones, who handicaps the race this way, starting with his main rival in the ACRS Series from the East, Sea Cadet.
Who he's been beaten, we don't know if they rank up to who Best Pal's been beating or not. And he gets a 5-pound break in the weights, which is going to make it interesting. Twilight Agenda, now you're going back down from 1.25 miles, which to me I think is probably stretching it for him. I think his maximum distance is 1.1 miles, his best distance. And it should make them all come together pretty good. It should be. I hope we can put on a good show.
Well, we're looking forward to that good show, and here you see Gary Jones working with Best Pal, the 3-5 favorite right now, as he puts the saddle on Best Pal. Scotty Schulhofer working on the champion, Fly So Free. Budweiser Racing across America brings you back to Oaklawn Park, and in the saddling area there, the 2-horse Girard, the pride of the New Orleans Fairgrounds, winner of their handicap there, and one of the longer prices on the board today. You know, the Daily Racing Forum says, we give you winners. Well, let's see if they have one for us in the Oaklawn Handicap today as we join Tom Durkin.
Here with Jack Valentine, the track man for Daily Racing Forum here at Oaklawn Park for over 13 years. I've known him even longer than that, and he's put me on a few winners over the years. And a few losers, too, I might add. Maybe you can put us on a winner with the Oaklawn Handicap. But before that, Jack, how do you see the race shaping up here?
Oh, I see it probably nothing but a jock's race. Whoever makes their move first is going to win it. We've got probably the best 4 handicap horses in the country running. They've all got tactical speed. You can place them where you want them, and I think whoever makes their move and opens up some daylight turn for home is going to be the winner.
Another horse in there with a lot of speed, Total Assets.
Yeah, he's very fast, although at the draw the other day, his trainer, Randy Reed, said he didn't necessarily have to be in front, but I think the only chance he's got is going to the lead.
All right, and who do you think is going to make their move and win?
I see Sea Cadet and Twilight Agenda sitting just behind the lead, and then Fly So Free and Best Pal back a little bit farther. And I think about the 3/8 pole that Sea Cadet's going to make his move, open up a little bit of daylight, and I don't think Best Pal's going to quite catch him.
Okay, so you're going to put us on a winner, and it is?
Sea Cadet.
Let's see.
There's Sea Cadet, and as you see him come in the picture, one thing you'll notice about Sea Cadet is he doesn't have much of a tail, but he has $1.2 million in earnings. Frank?
Well, these are the partnership. This is the partnership that owns Total Assets. Gene Cox and R.B. Oliver and Total Assets. An interesting story. 2 years ago, he cracked a sesamoid bone. There are 2 sesamoids right at the back of the ankle. Small but important. It's where the suspensory goes. And usually it's career ending. But 2 years of patience and care and interest, and Total Assets is back at the races. Congratulations to you both. You were involved personally a lot, Gene.
Yes, I was. Thanks a lot.
You went out to see him, you and the veterinarian, you took constant care.
We were very fortunate with this horse. We had him on a farm up there close to where I live, Henson's Little Hill Farm, and those people are very good and very patient and helped us a lot with this horse. And we knew he was a nice horse, and we were ready just to give him a lot of time off.
A lot of people told you to give him away. I would have joined in that opinion, and I congratulate you for being patient. Mr. Oliver, you said this captain, this partner could call the shot. You backed him.
I did that, sir, and we just get along fine, and we agreed on everything, and the horse come back, and it's just wonderful.
Well, 2 Arkansas owners with an interesting horse in the handicap today. Chris?
A story of perseverance and Total Assets. We'll be telling you more about him and introducing all of our 7 here. The magnificent 7 for the Oaklawn Handicap. Let's start with Fly So Free. A Keeneland sales purchase. Tommy and Elizabeth Polando paid $80,000 for the first horse they'd ever owned outright. He turned into a champion, earned over more than $1.9 million. Winner of the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, earned over $1 million last year, ran 4th as the favorite in the Razorback. He is at 6-1 right now. Jose Santos, an Eclipse Award winner, is the rider. The 2-horse, this is the one from the fairgrounds in New Orleans, Girard. He is at 18-1, won the New Orleans Handicap, 2nd in the World Away, 3rd in the Louisiana Handicap there, a son of Mr. Prospector, royally bred though, trained by an LSU Tiger grad, Tom Amos, the top trainer at the fairgrounds, and the rider, Bobby Walker, one of the leaders down there in New Orleans. The 3-horse, this may be an all-time bargain. Listen to this now. Sea Cadet was purchased at Keeneland for $2,800. You see what he's earned. Over $1.2 million, won the first ACRS event, the Don Handicap, 7-length winner of the Gulfstream Handicap, has been 1st, 2nd, or 3rd in his last 8 starts. Today he is 4-1. The rider, Alex Solis, he won the Oaklawn Handicap back here in '87 on the Great great Snow Chief. The 4-horse total assets that you just heard from the owners. This is the horse that everybody wanted to give up on, but not them. He's 30-1. A speed horse, third in the Razorback, coming off an allowance victory here. The rider, great veteran here, Larry Snyder's won more than any other rider in this race today, better than 6,200 victories, 8-time Oaklawn champion. The 5 is Crafty Cash. Was claimed, what a story this is, for $15,000 by Ken McPeak, the trainer. Has won his last 2 races and a second in 3 starts. 25-1 for Crafty Cash. Fabio Arguello Jr., leading rider at Turfway Park last fall and winter, has the assignment this afternoon. Here is the 3-5 favorite from California. Best Pal has never won outside the Golden State, carrying the famed colors of Golden Eagle Farm, John and Betty Maybe. And Gary Jones and Kent DeSomo, the top team at Santa Anita as far as trainer and jockey. DeSomo, a 2-time Eclipse Award winner. Best Pal undefeated this year, the top-ranked thoroughbred in the land. The 7-horse to round out our field from the Dwayne Lucas stable, Twilight Agenda. Earned almost $2 million, won the San Pasqual, second to Best Pal in the Big Cap. Trained by Dwayne Lucas, who's won this race 2 times, and by 2-time winner of the race, the jockey Chris McCarron, won on opening verse in 1990 and on Turkmen in 1986. There's the field. Earnings have averaged $1.2 million. The prize today, $500,000. We'll be right back with more of our coverage from Oaklawn. The Oaklawn starting gate set at the 8th pole for this mile and an eighth $500,000 Oaklawn Handicap. Let's update you on the current odds. More than 36,000 on hand at the track today. They have Fly So Free at 6-1, Gerard 18, Sea Cadet 7-2. Total assets at 30-1, Crafty Cash 25. There's Best Pal, the favorite, at 4-5, and Twilight Agenda at 4-1. Well, we talked about the favorites in the race. We know you're looking for a winner that would pay a price. Tom Durkin has one for us now, the Budweiser Long Shot.
The Bud Long Shot today is Fly So Free. And the reason he's a long shot today is because his last effort in the Razorback Handicap was absolutely miserable. And we're going to toss it out. It was off a 3.5-month layoff, and he had just fought off a bacterial infection. And since then, Fly So Free has worked extremely well over the Oaklawn Strip. And look at these credentials for a Bud Long Shot. A multiple graded stakes winner at this distance, a champion. He was the Eclipse Award winner at age 2, and an earner of almost $2 million. You can't pass up value like that, and that's why Fly So Free is today's Budweiser Long Shot.
The Bud Long Shot, Fly So Free, opened at 10. He has now been bet down to 6-1. Looks like a pretty good bet here, as you see, in the colors of Tom Elizabeth Philando. Fly So Free, a 2-year-old champion. Frank, some of your observations in the paddock here.
Well, Best Pal looked good. We followed him all along, and we've chronicled his problem with his feet. Chris, something to add. He has bonded shoes on. They're glued on, if you will. No nails like the traditional horseshoe. And that's more prevalent in California. I think the tracks there are more amenable to that kind of shoe. In my own opinion, it'll be a detracting factor for him here, where the sand is more percentage of the track and heavier.
Well, if that should cause him some problems, one who might really take advantage is Twilight Agenda, trained by Dwayne Lucas. He was some 5 lengths behind Best Pal for the Big Cap. He thinks this time could be a little different.
Well, in all fairness to Best Pal, I don't know that we're going to beat Best Pal on that particular day, but I think we'd have been a lot closer had we got the San Antonio under our belt. When we missed that prep race, it certainly hurt us. And I think that with that, I hate to say that the Big Cap was a prep for the Oaklawn Handicap, but maybe it was. With that race under our belt and going a mile and eighth, we could be tough here. He's a good horse. I mean, when they developed this series and wanted to, run these excellent handicap races all across the country, he's the perfect candidate because he's a very professional racehorse, likes to ship, eats well, doesn't need to carry his racetrack with him, and I think he fits this program perfect.
Twilight Agenda, the 7-horse here, Chris McCarron up. And Frank Wright, I think one of the great perspectives you give, the 40 years of training experience here, as we take a look at Snow Chief, 146-3. Tom's going to be keeping an eye on things. This is Frank Wright down here. We're ready to go upstairs, to Tom Durkin to call the Oaklawn Handicap.
There you see the unique posterior of Sea Cadet. Well, if he runs like he did in Florida this winter, that might be the only view that the rest of the field is going to get. Total Assets, expect a lot of speed from him. He moves into the starting gate. Crafty Cash, Best Pal likes to do his running on the outside. Doesn't like to get dirt kicked in his face, so you might see Kent DeSormo maneuver him to the outside to avoid that. Twilight Agenda will complete the field. Twilight Agenda has good tactical speed. McCarron might choose to put him on the lead, and there they go. They're off in the Oaklawn Handicap, and Larry Snyder is intent on the lead. He's going right to the whip on Total Assets. Sea Cadet broke cleanly. Twilight Agenda's coming up on the outside. Fly So Free, the Bud Long Shots tucked in behind the lead. Best Pal came out well, and he settles in early about 4 lengths from the front. And now Snyder takes a hold of his front runner, Total Assets. But now Twilight Agenda is pressing right there on the outside, and in between horses, Sea Cadet, he's a bit cramped. Fly So Free, he is rank early, as he has been in earlier races, and now he's beginning to settle down under Jose Santos. It's another length and a half. Back to Best Pal. He's now about 6 lengths from the lead, and a wide gap to the big long shots who do their running late, Crafty Cash and Gerard. The opening quarter was a quick one here, 22 and 4/5 seconds. Total Assets under hard pressure from Twilight Agenda, who's running very eagerly today. On the outside, Sea Cadet just off the lead, racing third. Fly So Free is kept close to the pace fourth. And Best Pal, he's removed from the rail, and he's about 6 lengths from the lead now. They're half mile out. They've gone a demanding half here in 46 seconds flat. Twilight Agenda on the outside in a real tussle here with Total Assets. Sea Cadet is right there, and now Best Pal is making his move. He's gathering momentum on the outside, and he's fourth, just 3 lengths from the lead. And Fly So Free is tailing off. He's back in fifth, and farther back it's Gerard. And they're coming to the top of the stretch here at Oaklawn Park, and it's Best Pal with a sweeping move on the outside, and he's coming hard. Here comes Best Pal and Sea Cadet and Twilight Agenda, and those three in a dramatic confrontation as they come past the 8th hole, and it is Best Pal is taking the lead now. He's in front by a length, and Sea Cadet on the inside trying to stay with him. Best Pal too much. Twilight Agenda's third. They're coming down to the finish. No doubt about it. It's Best Pal, the undisputed king of American racing. And the time here was 1 minute 48 seconds left. Sea Cadet held for second. Twilight Agenda was third.
Well, Best Pal has just won his first outside of California. The unofficial running time of 1:48, quite a bit off the stakes and track record, 1:46 and 3. And there is a look of relief. Gary Jones. Frank Wright, you've been in that position before with the Horseshoe Act questions of going into a race.
Well, he's been through the ringer this week. One foot and then the other. The bonded shoes. The fact that Durkin brought out early at the post. He doesn't like dirt in his face, and the rider took him wide all the way. But he still got up and very gamely became the winner, and he sure is the best handicap horse in training now.
I know Gary Jones' barn folks are celebrating back at Santa Anita. This man has been on fire. The last 8 horses that his group has saddled at Santa Anita, they have been to the winner's circle 7 times. And now, Frank, he ships this horse halfway across the country and gets a big, big victory. Let's take a look at the Golden Eagle Silks, those burgundy and yellow, as we are on the far outside as they make the sweep for home.
Well, all the way, Total Assets and Wayne Lucas's horse fought it out on the front end. It had to compromise Twilight Agenda, but this horse, the winner, took complete advantage. That's on the outside, Best Pal. He circled the field. He stayed away from the flying dirt. He responded to the right-hand stick of his rider, and he's a handy winner here, Chris, as they approach the wire, virtually 2 lengths clear of the field, and he's the best around now.
Unofficially, Best Pal, Sea Cadet, Twilight Agenda, and Gerard, as Best Pal gallops back as America's #1 ranked thoroughbred coming in. And he's proved it on the racetrack today. He's better than just a California champion. Here's the winner's circle of the Oaklawn Handicap. Gary Jones has been here before. He was here with Turkman. Kent DeSormo makes his first at the winner's circle. And there is John and Betty Mabie accepting the trophy from Mrs. Lewis Sella. Charles Sella's youngest son, just recently married, and making the trophy presentation, his wife there. Well, Best Pal heads back to the barn. The son of Havatoni out of You Bet She Did, bred in California by the leading thoroughbred beaners in America last year, Eclipse Award winners John and Betty Mabie. And now Best Pal has earned more than $1 million every year he's been on the racetrack. In 1990, just over $1 million. 1991, better than 1.1. And this year, he now has gone over the $1 million mark again. Real relief for Gary Jones. Tom Durkin's going to take a look at this performance by Best Pal.
As is so often the case, the late run of this winner was set up early. Total Assets is on the lead right now. Twilight Agenda right there on the outside. Second, Sea Cadet in the brown with the white cap will have to steady a little bit in between horses. He's going to lose a little ground here. Took a little stutter step around that first turn, and there you see a little awkward stride by Sea Cadet. He did get on track. At this point, Best Pal is the 5th horse in your picture. He's about 6 lengths off the lead. Quick early fractions, 22 and 4, 46 flat for the half mile. Very typical fractions for this Oaklawn Park Handicap. Now here's the winning move. Notice how far Best Pal was back at that point. They are now approaching the top of the stretch. This is when Kent DeSormo draws his sword. They're at the quarter pole, and with a sweeping and dramatic move, he comes to confront Sea Cadet, who's in an all-out drive, and Twilight Agenda. If you were expecting a big battle in the stretch among these horses, well, you really didn't get it. It was just a little bit more than a skirmish. As Kent DeSormo gets into Best Pal, he responds and goes off to a conclusive victory. Although Sea Cadet did lose a little ground on that first turn, had to steady a little bit, remember, that horse was carrying 5 pounds less than the undisputed champ of American racing, Best Pal.
All right, thank you, Tom. And standing by now, Frank Wright with the winning rider, the 20-year-old wonder from Louisiana, Kent DeSormo's with Frank.
And Kent DeSormo used his arms and he used his head. You stayed out from the dirt that might have hit you and that your horse doesn't like too much. You kept him out from behind.
That's right. He doesn't care for it that much. And the track out here, it looks like it's wet in a certain spot down the middle of the racetrack. And we turned for home, and I went on and wheeled out around it and let him come home. And that's exactly what he did.
Well, when you came here into the stretch, take a look at your horse. You've made the move and gone to the lead. It certainly helped you that Total Assets entertained the other Lucas horse going up the backside.
Well, we were hoping that, and I tell you, I came away from the gate with the intention on making sure they went on good enough, but the horse Total Assets did entertain him, just like he said, and the racetrack got to him, and of course, Total Assets helped us, but this horse, I tell you, he's some kind of good. He's getting, I can't say he's getting good. He is good, and he's, I tell you, all the athletes in the world, if there's any guy or athlete who deserves to be on something like cover of Sports Illustrated, he sure is one of them.
Well, I hope he makes it. Congratulations, and Chris, from me and an enthusiastic rider, back to you.
I'll tell you, good job, Kent DeSormo, and now he has answered some more questions. Yes, he can run on not just 1 bad foot, but 2 bad feet, and he also can win outside of California. Some big questions. Best Pal had the answers. Today they were worth $300,000. More of our story of the victory by Best Pal when we return to Oaklawn. We're back at Oaklawn. Let's make the Oaklawn Handicap official. Best Pal in 148 for the mile and 8th, returns 340, 282.20. Sea Cadet is second. The exact is 6'3", pays 11.20. Twilight Agenda running third. Let's give you the full order now. Picking up fourth, Gerard, that's the one from the fairgrounds. Flies So Free, our Bud Longshot, running 5th. Total Assets 6th, and Crafty Cash 7th. And do we have a group of winners here? Let me take some introductions. The outside, Gil Van Leer. She is the racing manager for the Maybes. There's Joni Jones, the birthday girl. Gary Jones' wife behind there. John and Betty Mabey, the owners of Best Pal, and the trainer, Gary Jones. And first, we have to start with the Maybes. And John, congratulations. You now have the all-time leading Calbred.
Well, thank you. It's a real honor to be here and win this race. Finally, we broke the jinx of winning out of town.
We're taking a look at Snow Chief now. Won the 87 handicap, and by $5,485. Best Pal has passed him today. Gary Jones, we're going to take a look at this race with you watching to get your comments. You've really been through a tough week with Best Pal.
Well, we had some ups and downs. I think I make it a little bit more tougher than what it probably should be.
There's no doubt about that. Let's take a look now. This is your reaction as you watch Best Pal and comment. As you see him on the outside, of course, in the Golden Eagle, burgundy and gold.
Yeah, I was right here. I couldn't tell where he was at. It was too far away. Then I went to my number there. Started getting him right-handed and screaming profusely. And I was asking John where he was laying because I didn't have any binoculars, so John was scouting for me. And yeah, I can't tell you how thrilled I am. And I owe it all to these two people right here.
You've answered the question, can he win outside California?
Well, he answered it today. He did. Even though Kent said to me, he said he didn't act like he was getting a hold of the racetrack, believe it or not, you know. So we'll see what...
And the foot seemed to be okay after he pulled up?
Well, I know more when I get back over there and get a good look at it, you know. I don't anticipate any problems there.
Congratulations to Gary Jones, to John and Betty Mabey, to Gail Van Leer. Happy birthday, Joni. Congratulations all with Best Pal. We'll be back in a moment. Best Pal has
has now become the first three-time winner of an American Championship Racing Series event, and I'm with the chairman of the series now and the tall president of Santa Anita, Cliff Goodrich, as we update the points through 3 races in 1992. And Best Pal is on top of 20. Sea Cadet 17 with his runner-up finish, and Twilight Agenda with the show spot today has 12 points. Those are the 3 leaders, much as they came into this series here. And with Cliff Goodrich now, Cliff, it has been an exciting series already this year.
It really has. Next stop's May 9th at Pimlico. I know ESPN's going to be there. We're looking forward to it. We got a superstar in our midst here, and I think it's great for racing, and we're happy with the work ESPN does for this great sport.
I know a little smile on your face, too, because he's a Californian.
Yeah, California horses look pretty tough going in. They run 1, 2, 3, so we can't be too disturbed about that. But I think it's just great to parade these stars around the United States, and with your help and others, I think we're heading in the right direction.
Let's talk about the rest of the series, Cliff, and it is a national series, coast to coast, $7.7 million at stake, plus the bonus, of course.
Absolutely, and it's going to go down to the wire again. And we have 3 horses about 8 points apart after 3 races. They can't run in all of them. We know that, and not doubt in my mind by the time we get to Del Mar in August that it'll probably come down to the wire again.
And of course at Del Mar, that is where Best Pal won his first series event, the Pacific Classic, then the Big Cap, and now of course the Oaklawn Handicap. Cliff, thank you much. Thanks for helping us with this series in racing.
Thanks to you, Chris, and everybody at ESPN.
Cliff Goodrich. Let's go now to Tom Durkin.
Well, the 3-year-olds, of course, are always in the air this time of year, and 3-year-old action this afternoon in Florida as well as in the Bluegrass country. The Bluegrass Stakes run at beautiful Keeneland Racecourse in Lexington. A bit of a surprise winner this afternoon. It was Florida's Best Pistols and Roses with a new jockey today in Jacinto Vasquez, and a fast-closing long shot. Conte de Savoia and Ecstatic Ride, who was 3rd in the Remington Park Derby, finished 3rd there. Dance Floor, no apparent excuse in that race. He finished 4th. Back down in Florida, and the winner there was, once again, Technology, and Technology wins at a short price, keeping in mind that Technology beat Pistols and Roses last time out by 4.5 lengths. Majestic Sweep was 2nd, Always Silver was 3rd. You'd have to make Technology at this point your 3rd choice in the Kentucky Derby behind Arazi and AP&E. Let's go to Chris.
Well, that pretty much wraps up what has been a busy day of racing, as we promised you. You've seen Arazi look to be at championship form as he heads for the Kentucky Derby. You're at Pistols and Roses, won the Bluegrass Technology down at Tropical Park. And here, Best Pal wins the Oaklawn Handicap to be certainly America's #1 ranked thoroughbred. Pimlico special coming up for us on ESPN is the American Championship Racing Series. That'll be the next stop, May 9th for the series. Coming up next year on ESPN, remind you to stay tuned for Sports Center. The NHL hockey strike is over. Rain at the Masters will update those stories, and we'll be back next week for the Arkansas Derby here on ESPN. The 1992 Oaklawn Handicap has been brought to you by Bud Light. Everything else is just a light. By Wagner, makers of quality power painters, power rollers, power washers. By Walmack International, winning the world over. And by the Thoroughbred Racing Associations, assuring the highest racing standards. Charts and statistics courtesy of the Daily Racing Form, America's Turf Authority. This has been an ESPN Sports presentation in association with Winter Communications as Best Pal leaves California and wins the Oaklawn Handicap for Gary Jones and the Maybes.